recording. So I think that this is working right now. Yes, it's working. So hello and welcome to the first video episode of the Self-Development with Tactic podcast. And if you're just listening to the podcast, you might be wondering what I'm talking about. But I will, from now on, post every podcast on YouTube so that the people who really like to read what I'm reading can read it at the same time, which is for me great. And for you, it's hopefully also pretty great. But nevertheless, and if you are watching this and you might be wondering what podcast I'm talking about, it's a podcast I started a week ago. It's called the SDWT, which stands for Self-Development with Tactics podcast. You can find it on Spotify, on Boxer, if it's called like this, and some other platforms like Stitcher and nearly every platform. Apple Music, not yet, but hopefully it will come. But today we're actually going to talk about, and sorry if there was a little, switch, just switch to the other desktop. We're talking about Mark Zuckerberg, because I thought it would be nice to just, go through everyone, because I've made, I've talked about Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and also Warren Buffett a lot, and I think at the end of this episode we will also be talking about Warren Buffett again. Bernard Arnault, I don't know him. I may be doing something about him a little bit later. But as you can see, which is really interesting, that most of these people are from the United States. And I shouldn't forget to introduce myself. My name is Christopher. I'm a 17-year-old graphic design student from Austria, and I'm really into self-development and helping people, and that's why I make this podcast and this show on YouTube from now on, which is something I really like to do. But nevertheless, as I said, I will hopefully be doing every person here, and I'm really sorry if I'm not too loud. I will hopefully make it a little bit louder, and if there's a little sound in the background, because my computer is just working. It's just stopped rendering the post for today. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, it's selfdevelopment_WT. To get more value, that's the thing I want to achieve, bringing value. Nevertheless, we will talk about Mark Zuckerberg. Is Twitter the same as what you do, which is here, if you can see it? South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham R. asked this as he was seeking to discover if Facebook is a monopoly. It overlaps with a portion of what we do, Zuckerberg said. I wouldn't say that Twitter does the same as Facebook, because it's just a really different kind of way of working. It's just more messaging for me personally. Not as much creating content for me personally. The second question: if I'm emailing within WhatsApp, does that inform your advertisers? If I'm emailing within WhatsApp, I didn't know that it was called emailing. I would just say texting or using WhatsApp, or some people, especially older people in my that surround me in my school, for example, teachers, they say you WhatsApped me, which I don't use, and I think it's not, it's not that sounding very good. Nevertheless, that question came from Hawaii Senator Brian Schatz D, who seemed unaware that WhatsApp is a chat, not email platform. Zuckerberg manfully resisted any temptation to correct him, simply said that content on WhatsApp could not lead to related ads. That's really funny, because he uses an Senator, maybe a little old one, and it's a German word there. Maybe this stands for German. I don't know. Or Deutschland. Whatever. But I wonder if these are only questions from the process he had. But nevertheless, it's also very, not important, but interesting. How do you sustain a business model in which users don't pay for your service? This surprising question came from Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, R. Zuckerberg blinked for a moment. He couldn't believe it either, and then said simply, "Senator, rerun ads." "I see, that's great," Hatch responded. I don't know if he means ads in terms of you let users run ads on their platform, or if he means that he is, or Facebook itself is running ads. I don't know. You may be correcting me, or telling what you're about to say, or what you want to say in the comments, or on Instagram, DM me. And yeah, it would be really nice of you. What was Face Mesh, and is it still up running? Missouri Representative Billy Long asked that question, much to Zuckerberg's embarrassment. If you've watched the social network as long evidently has, you know Face Mesh was an early Zuckerberg project in which users compared two photos of a woman and picked who was hotter. But Zuckerberg started Face Mesh from his dorm room 15 years ago, and Harvard shut it down within days. What if I don't want to receive ads for chocolate? Apparently, Florida Senator Bill Nelson is fond of a particular type of chocolate, and having mentioned that fact to some Facebook friends, is now seeing ads for the chocolate. His question might be a good one, but it's one for the entire internet, not just Facebook, as anyone who's ever shopped for anything online and been dodged by ads for the same time already knows. Zuckerberg said that users can turn off third-party information within Facebook if they don't want that info used to select ads for them. But he added, even though some people don't like ads, people really don't like ads that aren't relevant, and that's true. And I know, I would also say it's not all only ads that are not relevant to you, but also ads, for example, of Amazon, when you bought something or you looked for something, and especially when you already bought something you were looking for, and then you get out of it or from it, and you may be asking yourself, what the fuck, why I'm getting this? I've already bought this thing, this particular thing. My son is dedicated to Instagram, so he would want to be sure I mentioned him while I was here with you. That loving parental plug came from Missouri Senator Roy Blunt. It was a useful reminder that Zuckerberg is the real star in his room full of powerful elders, and it wasn't the only one. Actually, Mark Zuckerberg I think he is only 24 by now. But let's see. 34. He's also pretty young for being an CEO since I don't know. Tell me if you would like. If there's everything in line, yeah, you can read anything. Just have to be a little bit, to see if everything is fine, and you can read everything. But that's the point of this video. Would you bring some fiber because we don't have connectivity? West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Cabido made this request. Some of her state's rural areas apparently lack broadband. Zuckerberg said there is a group within Facebook bringing connectivity to rural areas, and we would be happy to follow up with you on that. The following day, several representatives asked if he would bring broadband to their states too. And I think it's actually something that Google is willing to do, bringing internet to every human being out there. And I think I have to plug in my computer. I really don't want to get lost of this or lose this recording. I'm sorry for interrupting right now. Maybe some now loud noises. Hope I'm not doing this, and it seems like I'm breaking my cable right now. This would also not be the best thing. Come, thank you. But we will definitely go on with some Warren Buffett advices, because they are always great. And I honestly have to say that I'm not really sure if you can take anything from this. This is interesting for me as well. But yeah, and it's already the end. Some people refer to Peter Thiel's startup Palantir as Stanford Analytica. Do you agree? Washington Senator Maria Cantwell posed this odd question on her roundabout way to asking whether Cambridge Analytica's data gathering was the brainchild of Palantir employee. As a recent media reports have said, there's no particular reason to think Zuckerberg would know the answer to either of her questions, and he said he didn't. And the last one here. Check. Do you know that the Motion Picture Association of America is having problems with piracy, and this is challenging their existence? Georgia Representative Buddy Carter, and please tell me what these letters in brackets are for, asked this question after first noting the rampant sale of opioids and ivory from endangered elephants over Facebook. Never mind that piracy takes place all over the internet and not just Facebook, or the absurdity of suggesting that it possesses an existential threat to the Hollywood movie industry. Zuckerberg merely replied, "Congressman, I believe that has been an issue for a long time." Some expert observers said after the hearings were done that Congress could have been a lot harder on Zuckerberg if its members were better informed about how social networks and the internet works. If they were, these questions might have been less entertaining. On the other hand, these are the congressional committees charged with overseeing the web and ensuring all our data is safe there, so we all might be better off. Yeah, maybe. This article is from Inc. I hope you can see that. Yes, you can see that. And the 9 most weird and hilarious questions Congress asked Mark Zuckerberg. And because I was reading elephants, I have to quotate Gary V, and I will not only one time be able to spell or pronounce his name the right way. I'm very sorry for that. But nevertheless, as you have been listening to my podcast, you might know that I'm a really great fan of Gary V. And he says, you could be the best elephant, the greatest of all time, and a human will be better nevertheless. And hopefully, it's not quotated, but it's the same meaning. So, and I think the chance of getting a human is 1 to 1 trillion. And so we all should be happy that we are human. And I assume that you are human, you who are just listening to me and watching me reading articles. But Buffett FAQ. It's a website I've featured a lot on this show, on this podcast. And it's a really great website. It's Buffett, BuffettFAQ.com. It's about Warren Buffett, the third most wealthy person on this planet right now, and the owner of Berkshire, and the person who reads 80 to 90% of his day, and the rest of his day he's talking on the phone. That's it. That's it. And he's happy. I wouldn't be happy, I guess. I've just jumped to the advice section. I worked in the paper and packaging business this past summer and really enjoyed my experience. None of my classmates are interested in the paper business, and the company I worked for has not had MBA interns in years. Clearly, the paper business has its challenges, but do you see this as an opportunity or a roadblock? Well, you've got it right that the paper business is challenging. High capital intensity, low margins, cyclical. It's a brutal business. No one cares who made the box their Dell computer came shipped in. In general, commodity businesses, even you're the low-cost producer, are difficult. There are generally two recommendations I offered to college and businesses school graduates. The most important thing about where you work is that you admire and love it. So it sounds like you liked your experience, and that's great. But we come to my second recommendation, which is to get on the right train. That is, moving in the right direction. There is no course in business school called Getting on the Right Train. But it's really important. You can be an average passenger, but if you get on the right train, it will carry you a long way. You want to learn from experience, but you want to learn from other people's experiences when you can. Get yourself a mentor. The most wealthiest people on this planet, or the wealthiest people don't need the most, have had mentors and also have mentors at the time. And it's just something that's called osmosis, which is learning by looking at someone or watching someone doing something. And it's something that we all made several hundred years ago, but now we just in school we are primarily watching somebody who might be good at something, and but go to the best you can and watch what they're doing and do what they're doing, and with time you will also have your own ways to do something or this thing. Managing your career is like investing. The degree of difficulty does not count, so you can save yourself money and pain by getting on the right train. Nice rhyme there. And one question: what is the value of good leadership skills and ethics in business? I have seen plenty of people succeed that don't have either one. And I have also seen an awful lot of people succeeded that do, and those are the ones I admire, and they are the ones I want to associate with. Honesty is a terrific policy. What you look back on in terms of whether you have been a success. You have certain things you want to achieve, but if you don't have the love and respect of people, you're always a failure. That is the one thing you must earn. It can never be bought. No one that has the love and respect of others is ever value. That's true. You should definitely respect people. And the first question was, by the way, from 2005, and this question was from 2001. And now I really have to thank you for listening to me. And I've enjoyed talking to you, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks.